I'm Linda Leclerc, an ex-serious stressed out manager, and what I'm doing now is changing lives, helping people to be less stressed, to be in a good mood, to feel better, in short, to be the best version of themselves. And my goal is to offer tips, to share tools, to inspire, so you too can be the best version of yourself. That's my mission. Welcome in the Joy Element, the feel-good podcast that inspires. Today's episode is brought to you by Morale Boost. 3 days, 3 tips, 3 minutes of intentional laughter, and it's completely free. Get it on yogadurir.com/ENG. I met with Lisa Pepper-Satkin in a Facebook group we were both in. I didn't know her, and we found out that we have a whole lot in common. She's a warm and caring executive therapeutic coach, and she lives in California. I keep thinking it's too bad we live so far away from each other, because she's the kind of woman I'd go out for coffee or do retreats with. She shares deep thoughts with us here, and I'm so very grateful we spend that time together and record this for you. Enjoy Lisa Pepper-Satkin's Joy Element. Yeah. Today, I have the pleasure to be with someone that I'm just meeting, and already we're feeling like connections, and it's like, ooh, we might be sisters.
We are sisters.
So I'm with Lisa Pepper-Satkin. Do I pronounce it correctly?
You did beautifully.
Perfect. And Lisa was just telling me before we start the recording what exactly she's doing, because you live in Northern California and you said that you're an executive therapeutic coach.
Oh, that doesn't feel right today. Can I change it just for today?
Sure. You can do whatever you want.
So what I do and who I am, I'm helping people own their lives. Like all aspects of their lives. Mm-hmm. So what I bring to the picture is an understanding of psychology and an understanding of behaviors and thinking and mindset. And what I do in my body of work with people is help them ignite their best life ever, the life that they really want to own. And then they can look at like, what's getting in my way? And what happens when I make a commitment to a new person like you that I'm working with so that I can have a bigger, richer, more creative life? That's what I do. How do we put that in a business card? It's just going to be a big run-on sentence.
To me, executive means that you're working with people who have a goal. Therapeutic means that you're working in a way that's reaching all levels of life. So it's not only like reach your goal for financial or whatever, but it's also like health and life balance and that. And coach is like, I can certainly see why you picked that profession, because it feels like you can certainly help others to be their cheerleader.
Yes, it is. And the depth of it is what makes this body of work different, because I help you understand how you got here, the traumas or the pain points, the loss and the grief. That impacts people, the ancestral trauma.
Of course.
We can't just sit in that gunk. It's like if we turn it into a hot tub, it stays too comforting to be in our gunk. You got to get uncomfortable. You got to be courageous. You got to be vulnerable to get out of your own way. And most likely we can't do that ourselves. Why? Because it's our thinking that got us there. So that's what I help people do, is get out of their own way and turn their life experiences into like springboards, diving boards to launch what they really want.
Yeah. It makes sense, because we certainly cannot do it alone, because once you start to do it, like you don't even know that this could be different. Sometimes we yearn for something to change and something to be different, but we don't know where to start and where to begin and how to stay focused there. So this is where you're needed, dear.
And when we have practices, daily practices, like all of your guests on your podcast have shared their practices, and many of them are the same. What does that tell us? It tells us that they work.
Yep.
And so I love the word practice. I call it radical self-care practices.
Mm-hmm.
What are the practices that you know that bring you, as I say, forward to center, not back? We never go back. We always go forward. And what allows us to be grounded, centered, empowered, and loved? What are the things?
Exactly.
And we all have, you and I were talking about art, and we share quilting, we share knitting, we share doodling, we share leading women.
And we share drumming because I have a djembe too.
You have a djembe?
Yes.
Right. Those aren't my drums, but I love them. I love them in my backdrop. I love them.
Well, you should tap on them. You could tap on them once in a while. It's just
I tap
great
on them a lot.
vibration.
It's a good thing. Bam, bam, bam.
Exactly.
Get the gun count.
Do you have, like, Lisa, do you have days where you're experiencing lots of stress?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And my theme in my own community this month is own your truth. So I've been thinking about this. Like, how do I tell the truth around that?
Just say it. Because we're all experiencing stress at some point in our lives, and we're coping differently with it. And that's the question I have for you. Like, when you're experiencing stress on many levels, could be too many tasks, it could be like too many things to do, it could be, I don't know, the excitement before going somewhere and not wanting to forget anything, like just plain stress. What do you do?
No, I don't call that stress.
You call that what? Excitement?
Excitement. So where imbalance shows up in my life, or confusion shows up in my life, like in my business, because we know what being an entrepreneur is like, and we know what trying to put our products out into the world is like, and attract more listeners, followers, all of that. I do experience that. And I just keep on keeping on with all of that, which I know works, which is tapping into my purpose. My purpose is to impact the most amount of people I can in one lifetime in a positive way. I often can see in people what they don't yet see in themselves.
Yeah.
I'm the holder. I'm the wisdom keeper of others, right? Like,
yeah.
so many people. I was like, see, I told you I saw that long before you saw that in you. And I love that part. When I feel, I call it famished. That's better to me than stress. That's a Yiddish term, right? Famished. Like when I feel tangled, I feel it somatically first. I feel it in my body first. And I ask myself, what just happened? Or what was I thinking? Or what was I comparing myself to? That's where that will kick me in the tushy, right?
So you get the, how did it start?
Right. And then I ask myself, if I keep thinking those thoughts will grow. Do I want those thoughts to grow? Hell no. It's got to be a really strong no. I mean, this is a free tool on my website too, and I'll make it available for your.
I'll share the link in
the. I'll share it. It's my PDF for how to stop negative thinking. If we keep being irresponsible with our thinking, then I think we end up in stress. But if I'm grounded and centered and present, do I have enough right now? Am I okay right now? Am I in gratitude right now? Very cliche, and it works. Because what we're really doing, I'll share the psychology of it. We have deep unconscious programming, which in my body of work, I call your inner bully, right? That's the gunk. That's not your inner wisdom. So the more we listen to our inner bully and the more we believe our inner bully, the more I think the word stress is going to come up. When we take charge and we claim our wisdom and we operationalize our values, we move out of stress and we moved into grounded confidence. And that's the practices I help people come back to over and over and over.
So you do it yourself?
I do it myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is a particularly delicious practice for me, if I'm really famished, that term I like rather than stressed, I'll go to a magazine and I'll just start cutting out images and sticking them to the page. And then I do this wonderful dialogue back and forth with myself, asking myself questions. What is wanting to emerge? What do I need to look at that I don't want to look at?
So you do a collage and then you ask the collage what
wisdom does it have for me?
Yeah, what does it have? What do you have to tell me?
Yes. What are the challenges? What are the gifts? What do I need to be reminded of? Where do I need to, like you probably have collage right there. It's just, so these are practices, obviously, that I teach my clients. And when I do, I'm starting to offer free coaching the first Friday of every month. This is against all business coaching. Don't give away for free. Why? It sparks so much joy in me. And right now, people need it. And people are scared because of what's happening in the world. And people are scared and tightening down financially. Beautiful. Then I can offer free group coaching. And people can come to the call and talk about, like, this is causing me stress. Do you have any practices to help me? I just want to do more and more and more of that in the world.
Share your wisdom.
Yeah, that's what.
So for yourself, that means that when you're experiencing moments where you're not completely centered, I'll say it like that, then you go back, you sometimes use a magazine, you do a collage of the images that come, probably the words, and ask, like, what's the message here? What's this telling me? What was I thinking when it started? Am I okay? Am I safe? And then
the thing with this is that I can hear people right now saying, well, I'm not an artist. I can't do that.
Oh, a collage, you don't need to be an artist.
Collage, you don't need to be an artist.
It doesn't need to be pretty.
No, you need to be willing to take responsibility for what you're saying about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I love that word. Take responsibility for your, people call me the word dick, which I don't know if I can really even say that with grace.
French, so that's okay.
Exactly. And what that means is that I'm always catching people in the way that they speak about themselves or to themselves. Right? I have clients make a list of things that make you happy. It is a delightful exercise.
I know. That's one thing that I suggest to people, like, just write down everything that comes to mind. What makes you happy? What makes you feel happier? What's bringing joy in your life?
I have a client who's really struggling in her world right now. And her list of happiness brought me such delight. She was talking about how the UPS drivers wear matching socks. And I was like, oh, now that is delightful. Just to think about that makes you smile.
Indeed.
Right. And she was talking about walking down the street and the smell of laundry coming out of the vent in New York City. Like, we can all relate. So if we have those things, like you noticed I have lipstick on, I wake up and I put on lipstick. It makes me so happy. I love lipstick.
Okay.
I
So
love cozy shoes.
going back to I guess that this you're just starting to answer the second question I have for you, which is when you wake up and if you feel a bit sad or blue or nostalgic or melancholic, what do you do to cheer yourself up, or what do you do with these feelings?
This is a very important question.
I know.
It's a very important question. And I think we need to cradle them in the way that we would for a friend. So when we start to treat the most vulnerable parts of ourselves with the tenderness that we treat our children. If you have children, you don't need to have children, but that's a wonderful example. And we are tender with ourselves the way we would be with a best friend. It makes a world of difference.
Mm-hmm.
I have a whole program called Fire Your Inner Bully. And I'm just in the process of
I
re-recording.
like the name of it.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you're no longer needed.
You're no longer, I hear you. I know you're here to protect me, but you're no longer needed. And in that program, I ask people, would you ever say that to a friend? They're like, oh, no way. Then you absolutely cannot say it to yourself.
Hmm. Gosh, we're so hard on ourselves.
Or we can be hard on ourselves.
Yeah,
We
better
can
say.
be. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're not. And there's not a finish line here. I'm working with someone right now and she's just like, no, done. I'm resigned. It's not going to get better. Guess what? It is not getting better. If we don't take responsibility for how we think and what we say, it will stay the same. It is guaranteed. Now, she can feel that resolved, that things suck right now. She can have those feelings, but it doesn't mean that we don't go outside and walk.
No,
It doesn't mean that we don't do our affirmations or that we challenge our inner bully. We have to double down on that when we're really sad or what did you say? Melonique.
melancholic.
Yeah,
Melancholic. Yeah.
melancholique. That sure makes it sound beautiful than in English. Melancholy sounds, but melancholique, I'll try that.
So dear listeners, you just heard a French word. You can learn it now. Melancholie.
Yeah. Oh, you're French.
So you're doing that. You're doing that yourself when you're feeling blue or just like that. That's exactly what you do.
It doesn't work. If I am not in congruency with what I'm teaching, you'll poke a hole in it right away.
Yeah.
You'll see the gap. You'll see it in my face. You'll see it in my writing. You'll see it in my teaching.
That's and if we don't see it, we'll feel it. I
You'll
keep
feel it.
saying you have to walk the talk. So I'm practicing what I'm saying, what I'm teaching. I have to practice it. Otherwise, it's just like I'm teaching from the mental side, and
Yes.
it has to go from the heart.
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean I'm also sharing absolutely everything that's happening in my life. There's discernment.
No, 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 no. That's not what we're saying here.
But my theme, I told you this month is Own Your Truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really been meditating these last few days on, is there a place that I can go a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit deeper with my group, my membership community? And what's the benefit of that? And how can I model that for them? And, I'm working on it. It's a beautiful work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
All of us are.
Oh yes, that's the idea. And what would you say I'm sure that you have plenty there, but what would you say is the place, the thing you do, the people you're with, whatever circumstance, that when you're living this, you're thinking, I am in a total, complete state of joy?
Bliss. I just experienced it. That's my dog. Are you looking for?
I think it's the mailman who walked in.
Oh, really? And then my dog, I think, did the same thing at the same time. So I just led my women's retreat, not this last weekend, but the weekend before. Everyone's like, oh, that's so much work. No, it's bliss. It's my bliss. It's a creative retreat, meaning I use creative supplies to tap into a different part of people's brains. Because if we're just writing and we're just working from that side of the brain, we're missing a whole half of the hemisphere of the brain and a whole process that is absolutely life-changing. It's transformational.
Oh,
Because
well, what I'm doing is exactly that. So I'm making sure that
really,
you don't stay on the rational side, you go on the playful, creative side.
let's do something together. I want to do an international
So
retreat.
your bliss moment, your total moment of joy
Is
is
leading these retreats. And then I have this incredible way of designing the retreat just because it's good for me. It's good for me to think it through. And then the whole thing can go out the window in 5 seconds, and I can take the group in a whole new direction. I'm very intuitive, and I've led for a long time. And so people know they're not just getting a cookie cutter experience. Like, it's not a cookie cutter experience. We had such a funny moment this last retreat, and it ignited in me that I wanted to lock this woman's inner bully in her car for the weekend. So I did this whole ritual around locking her inner bully in the car. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, all of you make a personification of your inner bully, and let's lock it in. We're going to lock them all away in the car. And so we all made these personifications. What that does is it externalizes it. It allows you to kind of laugh.
Yeah.
Then we came around the circle and I was locking them all in my car because I wanted control over if they tried to sneak out. I wanted to lock them in even in a bigger way. And I got to one woman's bully and I'm like, that's not your bully. That's your perfectionist. She needs to stay here because we need to look at her to remind you that she's not needed here. She's like, so I don't get to go in the car. I'm like, no, you got to go back in the nest and make your inner bully. And then her retreat individually was really about her getting to know her inner bully in the way that she's really hard on herself.
Mm-hmm. It's different. It's completely different.
It's
I just
different.
like it that you're when you're feeling blue, you want to treat yourself the same way you would treat a good friend of yours. That's so inspiring. It's like, because sometimes we can be really, really pushy and hard on ourselves. And when you're feeling that, it's not a bad emotion, it's just an emotion. And so when you're feeling that, I really like the idea of treat yourself as you would as your best friend. Like hug them, and I really like that.
Thank you. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, that's your words. These are your words.
I love this.
Said it with my French accent, but it's like this is really inspiring. I want to thank you, Lisa, for this precious moment and these I would say in French pépites d'inspiration. So like you spark of
Petite
inspiration.
desperation.
I like that. Thank you so very much.
J'habitais à Paris.
Oh, C'est bien.
When I was 21, and now I don't remember my French.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
We can meet there again.
I just took my daughter this last year. It was really fun to take her. It was so lovely to meet you and be with you. And
thank you.
Let's do something.
I'm closing this, and then we can talk a little bit more. So thank you so much.
Great.
And have lots of blissful moments in the years to come.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about our programs, services, retreats, trainings, and all sorts of tools to bring more laughter and joy in your life, visit us at www.yogadurir.com, and for the women's laughing at hahasisterhood.com. Until next time, keep smiling and laughing.